Hello everyone and welcome to Football Newsroom for the match review between Real Madrid and PSG. The match ended as a 2-all draw. Now, I know you guys might have predicted a draw. Two European giants of such caliber colliding, you expect a pretty even game. But honestly guys, it wasn't like that. Real Madrid dominated the whole game and this result is just a consequence of a 3-minute collapse. Honestly guys, I don't know what happened out there. The goals scored by PSG were not brilliant, but rather some foolish mistakes by the Real Madrid players. Especially the first one guys. I don't know what happened. Real losing possession in such an area, and then a complete misunderstanding by Varane and Courtois just allows Mbappe to tuck it in. These types of mistakes on big European nights will hurt them. I hope this is not continued in the future and things will change. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the lineups. Both teams started with their usual 4-3-3 shape, but when it came to Real Madrid, the system worked a little differently. Isco started the game as a right wing, but as the game progressed, we found him tucking in the central areas and operating just behind Benzema. As he moved in, Valverde shifted a little towards the right, and with the help of Carvajal, he managed to cover and control the right-hand side of the pitch. It ultimately did lead them to the first goal, and it was clear that Valverde was acting as a wide midfielder down the right with Isco just behind Benzema. While building up and with possession, Real switched to a double pivot. Casemiro shifted over to the right to cover the space by Valverde, and Kroos moved a little back, and there you see the 4-2-3-1 formation. There was a clear advantage with this system. As Kroos moved back a little, he got more space and this allowed him to operate a little more freely. He provided through balls, made a few solo runs and took a few excellent long-range efforts from the outside the box. In the initial stages, he was clearly the most effective player for Real Madrid. As time passed, Real just got more and more control over the game, and they really seemed like a threat. Zidane had clearly planned everything and worked it all on the training sessions. Real's play, their touches, their build-up plays, everything seemed perfect. We would have to give a lot of credit to Zidane, who planned this game perfectly. Talking about Zidane, the thing I loved the most was Isco's role in the central area. Now, it might not be very clear, but honestly guys, his presence in the central areas did a lot of damage to PSG. Here's how. As Isco moved in, he tried to exploit the space between the defensive line and the midfield line. Now, with someone like Benzema pressing the line and Hazard pushing up, the midfield line instead of pressing moved a little deeper. Marquinhos often dropped deeper than usual to cover Isco, and this just allowed the central midfielders of Real to grab more space. This simply allowed Real to dominate the whole game with more possession, and PSG only seemed to be a threat during the counter-attacks with the pace of Mbappe. While defending, PSG retreated in a 4-5-1 shape with both Mbappe and Di Maria dropping back when required. But it wasn't really enough on either flanks. You look at the goal on the right hand side and you look at someone like Marcelo on the left. The fullbacks with proper support from the midfielders and their respective forwards did an extremely good job by pushing PSG back. And this brings me on to Marcelo guys. What an excellent game he had. He moved up along with Hazard and he doubled it up against Meunier. As he moved up and controlled the left-hand side of the pitch, Hazard was given a little more freedom to make the solo run inwards, and with proper support from Marcelo, he took the numerical advantage against Meunier. Now, in order to stop this, PSG changed their line. The central defender Gueye moved a little wider and Di Maria swept flanks with Mbappe and pushed a little deeper. Things changed a little more after Neymar came on. The system changed to a 4-2-3-1 formation with Neymar operating centrally behind Icardi. He was often starting very deep, having his touches with the central midfielders and then moving up. Tuchel wanted him to be the center of everything, but I don't think he will be very satisfied with his contribution guys. Yes, he played a big part in coming back, providing proper through balls, but he was nowhere near his best. Casemiro did a very good job by stopping him. There was another problem with PSG. They were constantly losing possession in the middle of the park and up front in the clinical areas. As Madrid played with a very high line, there was very little space to work with, and this pushed Neymar even deeper. Only Mbappe seemed to be a threat. With his inject of pace and fancy touches, he was constantly causing a lot of trouble down the left-hand side. But otherwise, I didn't really see much from this PSG side. While defending, Real defended in a 4-2-3-1 formation with their zonal pressing. When the ball was on the right, Valverde would move off to press the ball and Hazard would tuck in as an extra midfielder. Things would work oppositely when ball was on the left-hand side, and this was a very even system. PSG didn't really have a good game and they will be extremely happy to go back to Paris with 1 point. They are still top of the group and will be very happy that it will end that way. Zidane on the other hand will be very unhappy with the result. After performing at this level, this result is clearly unacceptable. Moreover, they missed a couple of chances. Benzema in the beginning of the first half, Rodrigo in the later stages of the game, and it was extremely unlucky for someone like Bale to hit the woodwork in the final stages of the game. In general, there were clear chances, and if they had avoided the temporary collapse, it would have been a very sweet vendetta indeed. Moving on, some fans were actually concerned about Hazard's injury, with initial reports claiming that he could miss even up to a month for the injury. However, more recent news confirm that he has suffered a bruised ankle which will rule him out for just a maximum of 2 weeks. So good news for the Madrid fans as he will be there fit to feature in the Clásico. That's about it guys. I don't really want to end the video by criticizing Real Madrid. As I said, they had an excellent game. It was an excellent performance by the players and I'm sure Zidane will be very happy with this sort of performance. We as fans enjoyed it and I hope this sort of performance goes on. Please leave your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about Real's performance and what do you think about the result guys? Thank you as always for joining me and I hope you enjoyed the upcoming clashes in the Champions League.